Paul Castellano was the head of the Gambino crime family and probably the most powerful mobster in the United States.
Joe Brandefine had been in the NYPD 12 years before he became a detective in the Manhattan South Homicide Squad.
Homicide Squad, we covered from South Ferry, river to river to 59th Street. Any murder cases that happened in that area, we did them.
The most famous case occurred in December of 1985 when Paul Castellano was assassinated outside Sparks Steakhouse on East 46th Street.
So, Joe, where did the Castellano hit actually take place?
Took place right here at this curb.
So what happened? Describe the scene for me.
They pulled up their car. Paul Castellano opened the door, got his 2 feet on the sidewalk, and 2 guys ran up and shot him. And he kind of slid down, and his head came to rest on the floorboard. Tommy Bellotti got out the driver's side, and 2 guys ran at him and shot him in the leg right in the middle of the street. He was shot.
So it was Castellano first, Bellotti was second?
Yes.
And who ordered that hit?
John Gotti.
Why?
Well, John Gotti knew that some of his people in his crew were dealing drugs, and that Castellano didn't like that. And he knew that Castellano would ultimately kill him and the people in his crew. And he decided to act first.
As Detective Brandefine went over the eyewitness accounts from the night of the murder, he realized that one of the witnesses had been right next to the killers.
This is where the witness was standing. Okay, it was 3 weeks before Christmas. The streets were crowded.
Lots of people.
Lots of people walking all around. The witness gave a statement, and in his statement he said that he saw a guy with patent leather shoes, spit shine shoes, and a handgun. And later on, when we read this interview, I said to my boss, you know what, if a guy is that close to see that the guy's got patent leather shoes on and a handgun in his hand and it's pitch black out, I says he saw more than that.
But the witness left town when he realized the man he'd seen murdered was a mafia don. Brandefine tracked him all the way to Oregon.
Oh, he was definitely scared. I said, listen, Jeffrey, you can't tell me that you saw spit shine shoes and a guy firing a gun and that you couldn't see his face. You were too close not to see the guy's face. He goes, no, I didn't see the guy's face.
Chief Inspector Burns and Lieutenant Petrosino would have told any modern-day detective that if you tap into the core of someone's character, you have the best shot at getting at the truth. Brandefine's instincts told him the same thing.
I always found that if you get to people's emotions and you get to their feelings, you can get them to talk to you. And I would tell him, I said, you know, Jeffrey, do you really want to live with this for the rest of your life, knowing that you saw who did this and you're just going to live like that? And finally he says, well, maybe I could identify somebody. And we showed him photos, and he picked out 2 of the shooters in that case.
It was the first time a civilian outside the mob had testified against organized crime that helped put Castellano's killers in jail.
I always found that if you take every case the same way, like for instance we used the Paul Castellano murders, if some poor junkie got killed on the street, if you treat those both in the same way and give them both the same amount of work, because that person is still someone's daughter or son or uncle, and I always treated those cases the same. I always put as much work into the smaller case as I did the bigger case.
Most detectives are craftsmen. That is, they learn the skill on the job from experience. But there are some people who have a certain innate ability that makes them natural detectives. And you're born with that.
Just as the Copper Stars patrolled the streets before the Civil War,